Ellen has been a We Heart SF community member for about a year now, and she is running for mayor. So we wanted to take a moment to get to know Ellen a little bit better and hear what she has to say. So thank you so much for joining us today, Ellen. It's a pleasure to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? Tell us about how you ended up here in San Francisco and a little bit about your background.
Well, thank you. I thank all of you today and thank We Heart San Francisco. I love that We Heart. I say that we love San Francisco because I can say Heart San Francisco, love San Francisco. As you see from the slide in there, the first one you see the farm, the field. I was a farmer. I was born and raised in a farm. So I was a farmer. And what it means, we are a self-contained society. We have no hospital. We only have barefoot doctor. So if I am sick or need help, the barefoot doctor will come to my home and do temperature, and then will prescribe herb, and then we'll go to the mountains to get our own herb to boil into tea. And that's how we heal any symptoms that we have, except that you have something big that you have to go to the city for hospital. And so I was born as a farmer. Everything is natural to us. We drink water from the well. Many people don't know the well water. During the summer, it's cool. During the winter, it's warm. That's how the nature works. And so we grow our own rice, vegetables, ducks, goose, geese, eggs, and then we went to the city and sell it to the people. So to me, everything is nature. So I come in here, I go, wow, wouldn't it be nice if more people in San Francisco know how to do farming. Farming in your backyard, and that will be helpful, or up in your balcony. Um, uh, in 1986, which is 38 years ago, my family, which is my father, my mom, my younger brother, and me, four of us, waited for 10 years. And then we came legally to San Francisco. And I was 16 years old, and today I'm 55 years old now. So 15 minus 16, I'm here 39 years. And when I came, I started with ABC. I obviously had no English background. I came in, I live in Chinatown, as you see that slide. I lived in Chinatown for almost 10 years. I live in there, that's the only community give me safety and security, and I did not have to speak English. I just go out there, say what I want to say, and I work a Chinese factory. I work my own job. I arrived at noontime at the San Francisco airport. Right after I get in, I stay in Chinatown, and I start working after my lunch. So back then, we have a lot of sewing factories. So I was doing seamstress works. I make clothes, you know, the clothes that you have, we make them. You don't have to speak English to be a seamstress. So I start working right away. And because I have no English, I was placed in Newcomer High School. It does not exist anymore. Newcomer High School is a high school transition for all immigrants coming to San Francisco. You only allow 1 year in Newcomer High School. So I stayed there for 1 year. I learned how to survive with my people, means the people don't speak the language. I just stick to the people from the village. In San Francisco, we have village people. We speak Toisanese. And then we have the people from the city, we speak Cantonese. And we have the people from other big cities, they speak Mandarin. So I speak all three dialects, Toisanese, Mandarin, and Cantonese. And I learned to survive in school. So when I start my high school, because I did not know how to speak, so I just went to school, have free breakfast, free lunch. Then I get home and eat my Chinese food. And then I start working as a seamstress. I survived for about a year, and then I start learning. You know, now I learn my ABC. Next time, won't you sing with me? So I learned. And then after about a year and a half, no, excuse me, after 1 year, I transferred to Jefferson High School in Daly City. People ask me, how did you from San Francisco go to Daly City for high school? It's because I'm from a village. We have a lot of different village people in San Francisco. And my friend, my age, they say, Ellen, forget about San Francisco. Come to Daly City. So me and her go to Daly City, Jefferson. Out of 1,000 people, only 40 Chinese people. Remember, I wanted to learn English. So I don't want to be in an environment I cannot speak. So I ended up learning more Spanish than English, because Jefferson High School have a lot more Spanish than English. And after 6 months, and then it was summertime, and one day I read the Chinese paper says, career development. If you want a good job, if you want an English speaking job, come to the Career Development Center. 3 months, you get a job. I go, woo, I want a job. So I went to that program for 3 months. In the morning, we learn English. In the afternoon, we go to do internship. Back then I was young and beautiful. So they said, oh, you're young and beautiful. So I was offered a job as an intern at the San Francisco Marriott, Fisherman's Wharf. I believe it's 1250 Columbus. And I start learning English at my work. I take the menu to go home. I spend 2 weeks, day and night, learn how to speak the menu. So when people ask me about what food, then I understand. And my funny story is, people ask me, can I have some orange juice? Then I said, okay, orange juice. I give them orange juice. They said, no, orange juice for the steak. Orange juice is soy sauce. That's a funny story. And then my coworkers make fun of me because I was learning. I know all the profanity that you can speak. They taught me all the profanity. So I was very good at profanity because that's what they taught me. And so I came at 16. I went to high school for a year and a half. Then I had my job when I turned 18. But I cannot wait on tables because I didn't speak enough language and I was not 21. In order for me to be a waitress, I have to be 21. You know why? Serving alcohol. You have to be 21 to serve alcohol. So I just bussed tables. But I was really grateful. I eat for free, uniform for free. I take a shower for free. Everything to me is like heaven. You got to understand, I was born and raised in China. When I was born, my mom said, what? Another girl? And she wanted to put me in the water, allow me to die. Just like that. But my neighbor, according to my neighbor, I was the one save you. Tell your mom, stop. So I was saved by my neighbor. So I grow up to be pretty defiant with my mom because she always say, I should have put you in the water because you eat so much. I don't even have enough to eat. So anyway, I become like, oh, excuse me. And I learned how to fight in the family. I got 3 elder sisters, 2 elder brother. I am the number 6. And then I have the younger brother. So I came to America. I was learning how to like, why American people, they don't charge people to go to school. From elementary school, middle school to high school. I said, why people refuse to go to school? You understand? I was born and raised, and because I was a girl, we are not allowed to go to school. And if I wanted to go to school, and my parents refused to pay me for school, so I went to school for 5 years. I was very grateful for elementary school, and my mom kicked my butt and go do farming and do something else because you're a girl. You'll get married later. Don't waste my money. That's what I've been raised about racism. You talk about discrimination, okay? That's my parents discriminate because I'm a girl, not a boy. In Chinese culture, if you're a boy, you allowed to be in the family book that you're born and with the name. If you're a girl, your name is never there. So that's the culture I was born in and raised. Eventually, I get the job by God's grace. And my manager at that time, she had a daughter like my age. And she said, Ellen, you're young and beautiful. You have power right now. The strength, I carry bus tables, heavy, 50 pounds. But said, eventually you're going to get old. Go to school. Go to school, I help you. So I make a commitment to go to school. I start going back to City College, going there to learn English and major in hospitality management because I was in the field already. So by God's grace, I earned my AS degree in hospitality management in 1991. And later on, I transferred to State University. I earned my bachelor degree in 96. And then later on, I earned my master degree in 2003, all by God's grace. Now I look back, I said, I can do it myself. That's the Holy Spirit helping me through that whole situation. So that's my background.
It's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. It's a classic immigrant story that has really, is very prevalent here in San Francisco and in America. And it's really important that we have sensitivity to that because it's a very, very unique background that has made you into the person that you are today. So after you graduated college, you became social worker for Section 8 housing. Can you talk to us a little bit about Section 8 housing and what you learned in that experience?
Yes. So I graduated with my AS degree in 91, but before that, I was looking for a job because I graduated with a degree and I couldn't get a job that I like to do because I wanted to be a manager back then because I might major in that hospitality management. I was offered a job as a manager, but to monitor the laundry department. You know, the hotel, they have a laundry department. I said, I don't want to do something like that. I want something I want a passion about. And because I work in as bus tables and I have free food, free good food, and I can eat anything I want. I wanted to like have some fun. So I see this job in the San Francisco Examiner. And back then it says, excellent communication, good people skills, and all those things. I said, I don't know if I get it or not, but I pray about it. If there's a God watching me, I'm going to apply. So I applied for the job. I was interviewed by 10 people, and everybody had the 10 questions. I believe they interviewed about 10 people, and I was like a perfect score person. So I got hired in Section A. In 1991, I started my career there. So I asked them, I said, why do you hire me? Because I know I speak English. They said, well, out of this candidate, they come to interview, you are the only person stay after the interview and talk with the people in the lobby, which I did. I just asked them, how long you been here, blah, 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 you know, just to hang out. And then they hire me based on my heart. So I was hired for Section A housing. So I did not start with a manager. I start with a desk clerk. You know how people get in? 120 units. So 120 people, some of them single, some of them a couple. More than 70% of the people, they're seniors, 62 and older. The other one is disability, people with disability, any age. So when the people get in, I would ask them ID, which room you go, and then I deal with the fight. You know, the resident, they fight so much. So I would do a conflict resolution. And then after I get my degree and my manager see a potential, they promote me to be a leasing agent. A leasing agent is to qualify people. If you come to live in Section A housing, you fill in all those governmental paper and you qualify, you're a good person, you don't have a back, you know, disqualify you. So I did that. And then, boy, my own property manager, 51 years old, a Caucasian lady, she passed away at work, just like that. So she was 51 years old and had a heart attack. Whew, my assistant property manager thought about me. Remember, I was promoted from desk clerk to leasing agent. Says, Ellen, you graduate with a bachelor degree. I want you to consider. I'm going to offer you a job as property manager. You live 24/7 in the house. So remember, I was back then young and beautiful. They offered me an apartment, a two-room bedroom and a living room and a bar, a new bar that you can, it's like the bar. And they spent $20,000 renovation. They offered me that job with 24/7 live-in. I would work 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock and then 4 hours on Saturday or Sunday and be a standby. So I oversee 120 units of people. And so the Section A housing, in the Section A housing, we also, it's called insignia property management. We had about, back then I would say about 15 properties in the Tenderloin. 15. So I know all the manager in that area because I was part of the management team. So we learn how people lie, how people cheat, how people get in Section A housing, and how people create problems. And we learn their trick and we address the trick. And as insignia, I don't know if they changed the name now. That was in 1991 to 1998. So what it is that people are 62 years old, they come and apply. We qualify them. And you know people will not live until they die. So if people die, we clean the room within usually 2 weeks, unless, because it's go by the month. The government only subsidizes from the 1st to 31st. We only have 1 month to clean everything. They like it or not, we have to clean. And everything become useless after people pass away. So by then, God opened my eye to see if my life is not worth today doing something, when I pass away, nothing is important because I have been cleaning up for the property that people pass away in their room. So I learned. So Section A housing is 30% of your income. I'm not sure right now at this moment, we still have voucher or not. There's different kind of Section A housing. The housing I work with, it's for seniors and people with disability. It's always 30% of your income. So the question for people like, what happens if I don't have income? You have to pay $25. But the question is, how come if I don't have $25? You will have $25. We have GA program, food stamp program, and you always get it. So we help people like that. And some people say, well, what happens if I'm undocumented? That has nothing to do with me. You can still have programs by charity help you. It's not about your document, undocumented. If you're age, you're senior, you qualify. So I work with people in all diversities. They're black, white, yellow, and whatever. I was a very tough person. Even I look not tough, but I was very tough with people. I tell them, don't BS me. I know what's going on in here. And then they stop. Because I live in the property, I get people knock on my door in the middle of fighting. You know how people in the lobby, they fought against each other and they have to knock on my door and tell me what to do. I tell them, I said, you don't have to knock on my door. I have a staff 24/7. I manage 15 people 24/7. Go talk to them. And in fact, don't knock on my door. I always ask them, let me ask you 3 things. Is this blood? Is this flood? Is this fire? They said, no, then go downstairs. Flood means when they see blood, somebody fight with a gun, with a knife. Flood means there's a flood. Or fire, then I would be respond. Other than that, we have staff 24/7 and the desk clerk. So that's the strategy, okay? So that's Section 8 housing. The other Section 8 housing, because I'm very familiar, I work with 15 property managers and different properties. The place where I work is called Maria Manor. It still exists. 174 Alex. So I live there, I work there, I eat there. So I knew the tenderloin style. I knew how people react. And I talk to people just like they talk to me. I'm not afraid. They're not afraid. They look at me as a person. I look at them as a human being. You do not have to be afraid. You just be yourself and talk to them. Yo, good morning. How you doing? That's all. So the other one is voucher. Some of the private property owners, they accept voucher. You apply first, and it's, for example, the rent is $2,000. You still have to pay 30% of your income, but you don't have to live in a specific building. You can go to any place and give them the voucher if they accept it. And the other Section 8 housing is family only, like 111 Jones, right? And because I work with many of the properties. So I'm just giving you an example of what I've done. For 7 years, I work, live, and stay at Tenderloin.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point, something that I recently learned about Ellen. I didn't know that she had this experience. We talk about Section 8 housing often. It's something that Anne Marie often does when she does her street outreach walks. She'll offer to fill out applications when she's doing outreach for people to apply for Section 8 housing. And what's the wait list right now? It's like 10 years, right? So this is a program that's available for low-income individuals and families, and it's a rental assistance program. You apply, and oftentimes it takes about 10 years for you to get something. So you could be living on the streets for 10 years or shelters before you could have access to something like this. And it's a program that allows you to pay typically 30% of your income, whether you're receiving that from some type of job or if you're receiving general assistance. So it's a program that is unhoused community. And I thought it was important for us to learn a little bit about this program because maybe you didn't know some of the nuances. Do you have something you'd like to add to that?
Yes. So there's a couple type of Section 8 housing. One is without kitchen, no kitchen. These are the fastest to get in. Within usually less than 3 years, you get in. How do you get in? If somebody pass away. It's obviously, if nobody die, you cannot get in. So that's why in 30 days, people pass away, we clean it up, someone move in. And the other one is the voucher part is people accept you, the voucher paying. The family, you hardly get family housing. Once you live there, your mom passed away, the kids go in unless they move out the city. Other than that, it's very hard to get family housing. So when I become that mayor, that will be easy to situate because I learned the system, how they operate. Yes.
I think it's really interesting, how knowledgeable you are about this program and how important it is to understand the nuances of it in order to solve this big problem that we're facing. Another experience that you have is you worked for 20 years as a behavioral public health clinician. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
So I started with the city in January 2004. I got hired in October 2003. But I was working at Visitation Valley, the children's center. I told my director, I will not leave you until you find someone. So I told the city, don't start my job until January, the following year. Because I help the children, and I work with children who have needs. I can't just leave because I wanted to leave. It's not ethical to do so. So I start with senior social worker. That was my title, senior social worker at the welfare office. It's 1235 Mission Street. I worked there for 2.5 years as a senior social worker and the only ADA social worker that I dealt with all people come to welfare who are disabled with a mental issue or incapable of, what's that called? Illiterate. So I would provide help to fill out the form, give them housing, Medicare, and a transitional job and hook it with community services. I done that 2.5 years, and I felt it's time for me to move on. For one thing, I have to pay $10 parking a day. And I was like, Lord, I don't want to pay $10 parking. Just give me a job with free parking. And God opened the door that I went to public health. I got free parking. I saved $10 a day. When you have 2 children to go to 2 different schools to drop them off, you wanted to save $10. Okay, so I started behavioral health clinician. So I worked for the city almost 20 years as a social worker. So I started with child crisis. Anyone familiar with child crisis? Now they merge into child crisis and adult crisis. So what it is 24/7 services people call. I believe it's 415-970-4000. I believe that's a number if they didn't change it. So people call, they talk about a mom call, school call, clinic call, and say somebody is in trouble, usually minor, 0 to 18. So our agency would be respond. I was assigned and hired as a bilingual clinician to do delinquent kids. The people who pick up by the police, they detain them at 375 Woodside. Anybody know the place? Youth Guidance Center. I worked there for 5 years, day in, day out, day in, day out. I would go to court with them. I would go inside detention hall. We can't call that jail. It is jail, but you call them fancy name, detention hall. And I would talk to them, do assessment, do a plan for them to get out and get home and go to school. So that's what I've done. So I provide treatment for homicidal, suicidal, anxious, depression, for people to go back to school, because I work with children and their family. So I did that for 5 years. And then I keep passing through my neighborhood, which is Silver Avenue Family Center. That's my prayer. I said, God, I want to work in my neighbor's school so I don't have to drive to work. That was the prayer. God opened the door for a family health center. I walk to work and I don't have to drive. So I was there 2.5 years. So this is what we do. It's called primary care behavioral health center. And we work with the doctors and Family Health Center, we have 5,000 patients, 5,000 patients. And my job is to get the referral from the doctors when people are having cancer, dying, depression, anxious, something they cannot go to work, they cannot function at home, anything that with health issues, that I would get the referral from the doctor. And I see minimum 8 patients to 15 patients a day, every day, Monday to Friday. Very busy clinic. I've done that for 2.5 years. And I was like, that's time to move on. I learned something new every day about depression, dying, cancer, patient management, diabetes. I learned so much to help other people. And then I went back to my old supervisor's job at Family Mosaic. She was my supervisor. I told them I wanted to do something going out. Working in a primary care, I cannot go out. I just have to stay in the clinic. But I like to go out. So I would drive the city car going to places and do assessment. So Family Mosaic is the project 24/7. People call if they have issues, school referral, child crisis referral, public health referral. All the community agencies in San Francisco, they would call because the child or the family They're mentally incapable to go out to school, go out to eat. So my job, I would go to their home and do assessment and form a plan. And they will have vouchers to get food. They would have go to special school, and I would assign them with personal mentor, and tutoring services, because I work for the government. The government have unlimited those resources, so we are able to allocate and work with them. So I heal a lot of young people. People are severely mentally ill. That was my job. And about 3 years later, I went on vacation. I came back, and somebody, I believe, passed away at the central office. And I was pretty good with Avatar. Anybody know Avatar, the program for mental health services? Avatar is the government services for doing the treatment assessment. So they know that I'm pretty good at Avatar programs. They want a trainer who know the program. So I was asked to go there to help after the manager passed away. Because everything's in there. You need somebody who know expertly in something. So I was helping them. And after I finished the cleanup, they said, you're pretty good, stay. So I ended up at 1380 Howard, the central office. People call 24/7 for same thing. This time is adults, only adults, and with the SIBO community organizations. By God's grace, one of the project, they have no money, closed down. They gave me more. It's the people who drink and drive, lost their license. Now I become a case manager on top of paying the services to the people who are mentally unhealthy. So I help a lot of people get their license back, drink and drive. And I knew the program so well. I knew so many people in the DMV and how we collaborate, get the hours. They have to go training. So I provide a lot of care for people to recover so they will get their license back. And I also work 24/7 allocate. So this is what happened. People call the number, hey, I'm Ellen, I need some help. And then we ask them, are you a Medicare? You have private insurance? And then we get the information. Then we have about 200 therapists and 500 doctors and nurses in the directory. So I would email them, call them and say, hey, I have Ellen in here, 20 years old, and this is the symptoms. Would you have an opening for them? So that's what I've done. So another project, I do quality care. If somebody's sick, they can't do it. So the work was piled for 6 months, and I did that and help out. So I was a very multitask person. And I called them, I said, kind of abusive for one person to do 3 people's job. But I did it because of the heart, the people needed help. So that's what I've done for a behavioral health clinician, and that's a fancy name.
It sounds to me that you really do understand these systems
Yes.
intimately.
Yes.
Would you say that they're broken?
At today's environment, or when I'm in the system, it's not a broken. It's about too many. Okay, so if I am sick today, okay, I don't feel well, I need some help. Oh yeah, come to me. They did an assessment. That's it. And then they tell you to go to the next one. Oh, okay, I'm referred by XYZ. And then they do anything else, anything else, anything else, anything else. One little tiny problem, you're not that depressed at all. But when you go to the channel and you become really depressed because of the system. And I see that, I said, wait a minute, it doesn't sound right about that. So I developed a lot of good ideas, because I was one of those people who wrote the medical book and the quality control thing at public health. And I developed the parenting training manual to prevent for kids delinquent. So I learned something. If any one of, by God's grace, not you, but someone you know who need mental health services, make sure, do not let them play you, but go to one agent and ask them first. Instead, they get all your information and provide you with nothing. But they get the credit about talking to you. See, that's the booking system part. That is called public corruption. It is, because the public pays so much money for the person who work, but the treatment was not there, the intervention is not there, the people continue to suffer with the similar symptom, but the result is not there. So that's the one I see.
So you see a bit of inefficiency and corruption as the
Yes.
real
Yes.
problem in the system.
I can give you an example how they corrupt. So I, as a therapy, I contract, because I work for the government, remember? I contract a mentor to do something, but they only see the kid that I work with for 1 hour, but they bill for 3 hours. And even the mom complained. I said, wait a minute, only 1 hour, why does she charge? Because I have to ask them to verify what time does Ellen there, what she does, because it's called the quality control. So then that's how I know, wow, a lot of nonprofit people, because in the beginning of the year, they contracted, let's say, 100-hour services, but because people are not sick, people are not delinquent, then they don't have the services, but they contract and give it, you only can get the money if you provide the service. You see that? So that's the corruption. That's the corruption part.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So San Francisco's mental health crisis is real. According to the recent 2024 point in time count, 51% of San Francisco's unhoused population has a psychiatric or emotional condition like schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorder, or bipolar disorder. And that's a 15% increase from 2022. So this is real. And mental health and homelessness really go hand in hand. It's very intertwined issue. And being that you have experience both working in both of these arenas, I find it really interesting to bring this point up. And I have a question for you. What do you think it would take for San Francisco to create enough mental health care services to permanently meet the needs of its thousands of mentally ill, unhoused population? What is the solution?
That's a very good question. But remember, I am very experienced in the area because I work for the government. I work for different clinics. I work with a lot of government employees who are in the area. So my experience tells me the government create programs are necessary. And because they have a program, they hire the people, they have to fund the program. It becomes a useless program if they don't have clients. So in reality, we don't need this many clinics because they don't have enough clients. So they have to make the people become clients in order for them to get the funding, for example. So in San Francisco, we had about 1,000 nonprofits, almost 1,000. It's public information. Nonprofit, over 100 nonprofit, they work with homeless, mentally ill, or people needed care. The question is, who do the evaluation and how many people that they really do the service? And about 2 months ago, you see that in the news, right? The nonprofit people, they get the money, it was never evaluated, and no homeless exists in the agency that they serve. So my experience tells me we have enough the services available to the real mental health services, but not necessarily the nonprofit that they created collaborate with the politician. This is true because I am in the program. I'm inside the program. I was the person doing the menu. I was the person doing quality control. I was the one paying the therapist as a city county contracted to, because I was represent the government. Now, I'm not sure if you know, private therapists, they get $120 an hour to talk to a homeless for 1 hour. And if they are related to child protective services for court, the government has to pay $225 an hour to the therapist. How many guys do you know that? Okay, so the data I'm telling you, it's before September 2022, because I was wrongfully fired on September 2022. So those are the statistics that in my work, in my own experience, the government create a lot of programs unnecessary to really at the hand of the people who need it. So the mental health services, when I am in the position of able to do decision like the mayor or some kind of director of San Francisco in the mental health field, we will have to end some of those mentally services agencies and to qualify who really go there. So I will have a fingerprinting system, the facial recognition system, and what kind of services they need and what are the medication they're taking in order to end the scam. I call them a scam because I work in the government. I saw them. I said, wait a minute. Nobody referred in there. So what they do, if they contract with the money, but nobody go there to seek help, so they have to create the problem for people in order for them to get the money because they allocate, remember, budget. If you budget it, but nobody's sick, nobody homeless, what are you going to do? They corrupt the system.
Well,
So, yes.
Let's back up just a second. But if we go back to the statistic
Yes.
that 51% of the unhoused population is suffering from some sort of mental illness,
Yes.
it seems clear to me that the client base exists. So there is a demand.
Yes. Remember my statement was, we do not have this many people like they tell us. Yes, we have enough existing programs. It's just that they do not provide the services according to what they're supposed to do. That's the part I wanted people to know. So we will qualify and evaluate according to the client, not they give me the result. It's from the clients that they really go there to exist and really receive the services. So when I work with the 200 therapists around the San Francisco area, in about 7 days, we will have a spot for anyone who call in.
Really?
7 days. If they don't have it, we will go contract out to Bay Area, but it wouldn't be a problem because it's my own experience. Like example, on my last day at work before I was terminated, tell me, go home, you're not vaccinated. I have 68 clients. 68 clients, they're homicidal, suicidal, anxious, depressed, and my job is to look for therapists available for them. And because nowadays Zooming, people don't have to go to the office anymore. So they can look to them to the IS Zooming and talk about, address what issues. And then they will bill us $120 an hour. And if they are related to child protective services, that would be $225 an hour. And we were the one authorized and paid them. So that's why I said we have the services, but people need to understand how to activate and access the program. And we need evaluation from the patient to understand how much or how many days of services they really need. Because the majority of people, they're not that unhealthy. If they're healthy, no, excuse me, if they're unhealthy, they were not able to come to me. Listen, if they're unhealthy, they were not able to come to me. It's because somebody in the hospital, in the clinic, in the community, in nonprofit, they call on their behalf and go look for Ellen to seek some therapy. And that's how I know many of the system are there, but it's broken because of no evaluation. So I will be the one understand how to do that and shipping the resources and give it to the effective program and end the corruption part of the program. So the people who need services, they will get services. And yes, we have the services.
Thank you for explaining that. Because it is my understanding,
Yes.
and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
there's emergency services for maybe someone who's experiencing some kind of,
Yes. Psychiatric breakdown.
a breakdown,
Psychiatric
mania.
breakdown, yes.
And they're in crisis mode, right? So you need
Yes.
emergency services to help them de-escalate that and get out of crisis. Then you need some interim care,
Yes.
interim transitional care. And then there's like the maintenance side of things.
Yeah.
And so you really do have to kind of categorize it into this 3-step process and offer enough services to accommodate the population in crisis, in transition, and then kind of in that maintenance phase of their.
Yes, I can
their
explain it to you in detail because it's my work. That's what I do for a living. That's what I did for a living for almost 20 years in the governmental area. So somebody call crisis hotline. Remember, the person who is sick will not be the person who called me. It is someone else, the police, somebody call. So we would go there to meet the person, and the protocol is, are they homicidal? Are they suicidal? Are they having a plan to kill anybody else? Or are they in endangerment? Endangerment. If they qualify, then we have the police or the paramedic transport them to a 24/7, they don't call 27 anymore, 23 hours. I don't know why, maybe for billing purposes. I have no idea. Usually it's 24-hour hold, now it's 23-hour hold. So they go there, they do everything and ask them, they do the sitting here talking and then ask the same question. Are you going to kill anybody? You have a plan to kill yourself? Are you taking medication? What's your plan for the next 24? And if you feel that okay, then you go, that's it. However, if people are not able to function, incapable to function, then we have to hold them 72 hours. And within the 72 hours, we will find short-term solution. Are you at home? If you're a minor, it's different than an adult. Do you live at home? Do you have parents? Do you have someone to, take care of you? Now, if 72 hours and they still need Medicare, medication services, then we have to hold them longer. Like I have kids, they have to live there for 3 months. I have kids live there for 1 month. I have kids like 72 hours, that's it. I have kids, they run to the street and stand in front of the driving car they wanted to kill because I'm dealing with high-risk kids. And then we have to stay there for 1 week. And then that's the plan. The plan, well, according to the need of the individual, whether they are endangerment to others or endangerment to self. It's called 50-150. Okay, so a lot of those codes and programs, it's depend on the individual needs. There's no one size for all in mental health. And if you are an adult, so let's say I'm an adult, oh, Ellen, I think you're in danger. They say, hell, and then use BS word, and they say, if they refuse services, and then they're not in endangerment, you cannot hold them. That's the law. And even you think that medication will help them, you cannot open their mouth and put medication in because it's illegal. So that's why you see the homeless people talking to themselves or naked or drinking or something, unable to function because they themselves said, I don't want your help. So if they say, I don't want your help, you have to stay away from them, even it's wrong. So I believe that there's a program also that without their will or with their will, but you have to have a witness to say, let's say you have a psychiatrically ill person and says, I am healthy, I'm not sick, get away from me, I don't need you. But at the same time, he's using a knife, going like this, and that's called endangerment to the public. So without their will, the police will detain them, okay? But if they're not harming anybody, they're just talking to themselves and nobody get hurt, and then they say, I'm not ill, but even you think they're ill, but because they're not harmful to the public, we have to leave them alone. And these are the people you see in Tenderloin.
So, okay, let's move to our next topic, which
Yes.
is you're running for the mayor of San Francisco in 2024.
Yes.
We have an election coming up next month. This is your third time running.
Yes.
I'd like to know what has inspired you to run for mayor of San Francisco.
Yes. I've never thought about running for office. I've never thought about what happened to me today. In 2017, remember, I was on vacation. When I get back, somebody died on job and they want me to help out. I ended up at 13 Haiti Howard, the clinic, 3 blocks from City Hall with no free parking. I was very mad and give me a job without my will and no parking. I prayed for peace. And now I thought back what happened to me. That was God's grace. God prepared me to go public hearing in City Hall. I was called to public hearing because back then we were fighting no cannabis next to high school and middle school. But the city back then, in 2017, we had more than 55 cannabis stores open. They wanted to open another 400 more. So somebody who knows me, I work for homeless and people are, mentally incapable. They say, Ellen, you had a mouth, you have a heart, go City Hall. And I said, I can't. They will fire me for that. They said, use your vacation. I prayed for peace. I did. I requested my vacation time and went public hearing at City Hall and fighting with the board of supervisors back then. And they hated me, hated my mouth. I tell them the statistics. A patient cancer control pain medication should not be recreationally invited by the people 18 and over. And I give them statistics. You take $1 of taxation money, the government had to lose $27 for the rehab and the the impact of the sickness from car accident, and all the treatment that costs. So I was labeled as not a fit person, and for that translation. So they try to eliminate me from translation. I was translation. Remember, I speak Khoisanese, Cantonese, and Mandarin, and Chinglish. So I was doing translation, and by God's grace, I had no idea what happened. People recognize what I fought for the thing. No. And I tell them my experience. I am a behavioral health clinician. I treat patients like that. I said, stop killing the young people. No patient cancer drug become recreational. That's all I said. Mayor Ellen Lee passed away. The people recognized me, came to my life. You go run for mayor. I said, what? Run for mayor? I'm not that crazy, because I watched how they corrupt the system. I knew Mayor Ellen Lee. I knew Gavin Newsom. I knew many people in there because I represent the government employees, and we have 37,000 government employees. We have 60 departments, and we have so many people corrupt the system, and there are only 150 people represent the government employees in my union, and I was one of them. So I learned how they corrupt. I watch and how they do. But because I work for the government, what do? Shut my mouth and just get my job and get a paycheck to go home. But when people came to my life and say, Ellen, go run for mayor, I literally kneel down and pray. Ask God for peace, ask God for direction. And then God raised up people, they came to my life and say, Ellen, I don't know why. I just felt God come and look for you and support you to run for mayor. I go, that's a confirmation. So I start running for mayor because people came to me. I was nominated by many people in different districts, a collusion, and tell me to run for mayor. So I start in 2018 after Ellen Lee passed away. It's only a 6-month candidacy. In 2019, it was a 4-year run. So I came in second with no experience, no money. And you see the pictures in here. It's 2024. This is about 3 or 4 months ago. I prayed to God. I said, if people do not repent in San Francisco, if people are not coming back to the righteousness, we don't have a city. We have not had a city for a long time. Guess what happened? God also gave a vision to somebody, a pastor in Orange County, and said, go to San Francisco and pray. And somebody know that I run for mayor, came and looked for me. That's why we went there to pray for City Hall. That was the picture the day we took. We pray for many of the people, and then we are in there just for a purpose, letting people know that we will not back down. We will protect the children. This is America. We have liberty, justice, and freedom that everybody deserves. And you see the flag in California? It didn't say California Democrats. It said California Republicans. The republic means you and I can maintain our individual freedom. At the same time, the government have to follow the rule of law. But right now, we don't have the rule and the law that we're supposed to have. So I literally respond to God's call. I am a spiritual person. And because God gave me the peace and people came to my life, it's very hard to run for mayor. You have to pay $7,000 for the application. You want to run for mayor? Fill out the form, blah, 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 blah. Okay, $7,000. I go, $7,000 to a lot of people is nothing. But to a person like me, I have no job. I have no job for 2 years. Remember, I get fired for not take the vaccine. I pray for peace. God literally raised people up. And I have the application free. I ask people to pray, and God raised it up. And you can see from the public report from Ethics Commission, you got 5 people ahead of me. They got 11 million, 5 million, 3 million, 2 million to run for mayor. However, you will see my name very tiny in there, 22,750. I go, by God's grace, I have enough money to do everything it takes to be a candidate. So that's why I'm running for mayor. Because if God says, be the voice, I can only do be the voice. So I run for mayor, be the voice for the voiceless. We have a lot of homeless dead on the street. Nobody represent them. We have a lot of unborn little tiny human beings. Nobody represent them. I have a lot of immigrants. They don't speak the language, but they get abused and cheated on, corrupted on. I represent them. I had moms. They don't know how to deal with the system that they transgenderism and mutilate our kids. They're minors and they don't know what to do. I represent them. I have people want quality of life, which is you and me or everyone, want a safety, a health, a city to come. I represent you. You know, I'm not exclude anybody because I live here, I work here for 38 years. This is the platform I have, and literally I put it out there, protect children and humanity. So that's what I do. That's what I'm running the platform on.
Yeah, so on this slide, you'll see here, this is what Ellen cares about. And I want to make sure that we have enough time for some questions because we have about 10 minutes. So Ted, would you mind running a mic and opening it up for questions? Does anyone have any questions for Ellen today?
Yes.
Andrew here in the front has a question, if you don't mind waiting for a mic. Thank you.
And what you see in the slide, that's what I'm going to do.
You mentioned you're a spiritual person, and you also mentioned many times that God is calling you to this.
Yes.
Holy Spirit has inspired you to do this.
Yes.
When did you first become a Christian, or when did you decide to take that cross and follow Christ? And was that in China, or did that happen after you came to
in America?
Yeah.
So I came to America in 1986. I was 16 years old. When I was at City College, I believe it was 1990 or 1991. I was invited to a church for fellowship. And that night, somebody was sick and they asked for a prayer. And I literally watched the devil left that person. And all of a sudden, that person became well. And I sat in the first row, I go, oh my God. Oh, maybe that crazy stuff come to my body, man. I don't want to go to hell. I was like shaking. And I thought about it, prayed about it. I was like, God, whoever you are, I don't know who you are. And I don't want to go to hell. I just want to go heaven. So a couple of days later, and my cousin called me, 2 years older than me. And she said, Ellen, you okay? I said, how do you know I'm not okay? I told her what happened. She said, go to church and know Jesus. Then my question, who's Jesus? How much is Jesus? And I went to church and they talk about the Bible. The Holy Spirit fell and God opened my eyes. So I used to worship Buddha, Guanyin, a lot of Chinese God in my culture. And I literally say goodbye, Buddha, and hello, Jesus. I committed to my life in 1993. I became a Christian and baptized in 1993 spring. I always remember my baptism day. 7 men, 7 women. That day, yes. Good question.
All right. Do we have another question in the back?
So I heard what you were saying about addressing mental health, and what are you going to do about some of the poverty that's going on here, the crime? There's a lot of really important issues that are going on in San Francisco, like a lot of tech layoffs going on. And so how are you going to address those situations?
Okay. I'm a very living life example. I still breathe today. I came in here 16, very poor. I start with janitorial, seamstress, then I bus tables. And it's because I have a traditional family, and that give me an example of family support. So I went to college for 10 years and get 3 college degree and be able to be on my own. I'm just sharing my experience. And through my experience, I see many of my friends from high school, they still wait on tables in Chinatown today. They still not doing well. It's because they don't have a college education. At the same time, I have a lot of friends from college and City College, State U or high school. They are self-employed. Mm-hmm. That means it tells me many of the people in the 60s, 70s, 80s, they pay attention to a lot of mockingbird media. They're telling you that you have to need a government, you have to be independent on a system. But in reality, you need a friend, a good friend, a mentor, a family to take care of you. Then the crimes will end when people are not shoplifting. People shoplifting is because they need something. And the something they don't have is food, and some of them luxury too.
So yes, I hear what you're saying about, your friends and you. Some people went to college, and there are people who don't have the luxury of going to college and are struggling in order to
Yes.
make ends meet, and that's why they may turn to crime. But let's talk about policies, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
Yes.
Is what are we going to do to put in place
So
to
The policy that is not working, you all know, all the policy they did is failing. If they're good, they're not fail, I will not run for office because that's what the vision I have. So when I become a mayor, we will be focused on traditional family, focus on youth leadership training, and reward the families, and we reward the people who are doing good, not bad. Right now, they reward with free needles for drug dealers, free alcohol for abusers, and free incentive, a little tiny one, to the homeless. And because they are drugged, their mental is not there, their soul is not there. Many people, you walk on the tenderloin, they're heartless, soulless, and they pretty much not there, mental wise. So I have 2 programs. I set it up already. So when I become a mayor, God literally give me one word: prosper. To prosper every family in San Francisco. I have 2 teams already developed. As soon as I'm in the office, we'll qualify the people. We're training on prosperity, independent for self-employment. The government have the money. Remember, we have a $168 billion project. Budget. So the money is in there. It depends how you allocate the money. So I will be empower the people. But currently, we have 65,000 empty apartments and buildings, and 40% of the business left already. So when I become the mayor, we're going to release the empty apartments and buildings, and the money allocated for the people. Let me tell you, 20%, between 15-20% of the homeless people, they're good people, functioning people. They're not on drugs. They just not able to meet the man's need. I met many of them. I spoke with social workers. I spoke with lawyers. I spoke to one of the Caucasian lawyers. I said, how old are you? 40. I said, why you end up homeless? I have a drinking problem. I was party. I got fired from my job and then cannot pay the bill. You see, I will be looking for the functioning homeless people. They are the core leaders helping the unfunctional leader. That means we can bypass all those scams that $8,000 a homeless a month, but the homeless still dying and suffering on the street. At the same time, I will be working with the faithful, the faith community. I've checked it out already. We have more than 500 churches in San Francisco. These are the people. They will not charge a dime to help the homeless people. And if they do, I will be the one incentively working with the homeless. So the people will be paired up with mentoring services. I work with the homeless people. Pastor Evan, Travis and other people here. We are called the Team Jesus or an appeal to heaven. I am on the front working with the homeless. I have placed many of the homeless people. And if I place them, I help them, but that's not enough. They have to be away from the governmental programs. They have to be independent with a job, with a sound mind, and have the Spirit of God to help them. They will be 100% cut away from that, the wickedness that we are seeing, because illegal drug, it's no good. Criminal activity is no good. So I hope you understand what I mean, because I have these programs already.
Which programs?
The 2 incentive program, the prosperity, that we will self-train people through the faithful community and the current agencies that working, that is functioning, not the one that is cheating the government. So I will be.
I'll let you go and then I'll come back.
Okay, and we just have another minute or 2, so we'll have to keep it quite brief. I'll let you ask this one question.
So first of all, thanks for the great overview. I come from the tech community, and San Francisco, apart from being known for its homelessness, is also known for its tech world. Do you have a team that you like to work with? Because you're for sure an expert in the social space, but very often what good leaders do, they have a great team around them of people who understand different topics in society. So my question is, do you work with a team, and which are the people that you work with? Because also another thing, like I'm not local, so I won't be voting, but if I were to vote, and I would think that you're targeting your messages towards a minority in San Francisco, and if you want to get and become a mayor, you should target your message to the general audience. So I'll be glad to talk about this, because I come from the tech world, but I've done a lot of policy advocacy. I've been working with many politicians in Europe, and I think what you're standing for is really great, but I also think you should target your messaging better if you want to get more people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So this agency is about helping the people who need it the most. So my message in this situation, it's responding to the most of the need. So the government only have 2 functions: provide a safe environment and a healthy environment. That's all the government do. Everything else is man-made. Man-made is not supposed to be for the people.
Being mindful of time, do you have a team that you work with that
Yes,
support?
yes. This will be the team that I definitely will be work with because it's their quality and also the technology they have right now. Remember, when I become a mayor, all these people will be cleared off the street, and then we will group them for treatment and jobs independency, but I will do fingerprinting and facial recognition on each person to prevent them to corrupt the system. They have been using by the corrupt politicians. One person go to 10 different programs and get the money and nothing been done. Nothing. And 50% of the homeless people on the street right now, they're non-San Franciscans. They are from outside because they put advertisement, come to San Francisco, free housing, free food, free money, and you get a lot more than other cities. That's true. But the question is why we allow that happen. You see, God raised me up for a reason. I have all this training in the government for almost 20 years. At the same time, God tell me the words to do, and I will do the best I can, and we will. So think about it. Imagine in 2025, within 6 months, there's no more homeless dying on the street. And if they do not want to help and they want to be homeless, get off San Francisco street. We do not allow professional career politician use homeless. If you are homeless, be on your own, but not leader in the street and drug dealing on the street. So I can do that because I have the manpower. Remember, they fire all the Christians and Catholics. These are the people that God gave it to us. We all work together. And the tech people, we have tech people. We have smart people. We have people who are patriot, how to save the homeless from the politicians. I'm not a politician. I'm a family social worker. So I will. God tells be prosperity. So when you don't have crime, the business coming back, the homeless will be healed because of the faith community. At the same time, the corporation will end because we will work with fingerprinting and ankle monitor to help them. In fact, I believe the current politician, they hear my message. Now they talk about ankle monitoring people. I said, great. You know how I know? I worked with criminals before. That's what we do with the program. And they don't use it until I talk about it. Good question.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap up this conversation. Ellen, thank you so much for showing.